You can listen to my entire life soundtrack, the whole thing, as a playlist on Apple Music, Spotify, as well as Tidal. All you have to do is look up Songology with Alexis Rogers. All three of us are so different. You know, Morgan is like the flower child. She just marches to the beat of her own drum. And I love that about her. Mia is the super smart one, but she's also so sincere. And so she kind of goes through life experiencing things differently as well. But like, we all kind of dig neo soul. We all love gospel. So I remember when Elle Varner first came out with her first album, like her first mainstream album, and we would play that entire thing over and over and over again. It was like us like acting out a play, okay? And it just would allow us to connect because, you know, we're 5 and 9 years apart, so we're not even in the same phases of life, but music helped to kind of be a connector, if you will. You know, whenever I hear Mona Lisa, I feel like when I first heard Mona Lisa, it was during a time in my life where I was really coming into my own as a woman. Like, this was my first time being who I wanted to be as Alexis, the young woman. You know what I mean? There was so much going on. You know, before that song had came out, I had just graduated out of college. Started my first job at a TV station in Little Rock, Arkansas. You know, moved there myself, literally like packed up my stuff and drove my little car on to Little Rock, and some very close family met me from Dallas up there. And I remember looking around my apartment. This was the first time I ever lived by myself. And I was just like, wow, like I'm an adult. You know, and a lot of my life, I've always been very mature, but I've had some very like mature things happen young in my life. So I didn't really feel like I had a choice to not grow up a little faster than others. And Mona Lisa, that whole album, one, was like the story of my life. I was going through a breakup. I was trying to figure out like what my role was in my family and for myself. I was trying to grow, and like you try to operate in all these spaces, and it is emotionally overwhelming when you're like working through that, right? And Mona Lisa, I remember sitting in my desk. Oh man, my first job, I remember sitting in my desk and playing that Jazmine Sullivan album all the time. But when it would get to Mona Lisa, I would just kind of have to stop whatever I was doing because it kind of just filled me up with hope. Like, I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to have all the answers. But my goodness, whatever all of this that I'm going through is chiseling me into, it is a masterpiece. Like, I had to find my self-worth and my validation in a higher source. I think that Mona Lisa, for me, when the song came out and when I just kept experiencing it, was the first time I was being real with God and really being honest about the fact that I could see his worth in me. And I know some people are like, well, I mean, it's a secular song, but that's how I feel about God in general. I feel like God, music was one of his main masterpieces. I mean, let's be honest. What did David do? He danced. Whenever anybody praised God, it was always about music. Music is God. And it's all about him. It moves like him. And with Mona Lisa, it was like, man, you know, I went from this time period of feeling so broken. I was always this kid who did everything that everybody asked me to do. I always was responsible. I didn't sneak out. I had good grades. I was really motivated. I was an athlete. And in my mind, as long as I did all the things that I was supposed to do, then my life would be favorable. I wasn't having sex. I wasn't over here doing all these things that, you know, in church they said bad girls do, right? And when my mom got sick, I was like, okay, like I still had this optimism, right? Like I was like, okay, but that means that I just need to show how much more I'm dedicated and I'll do this, this, and this. And, you know, I'm the older sister, so now I'm the second mom and I'm gonna put on all these roles and my mom dies. And then I'm like, okay, well, she was kind of like the backbone of this thing and so strong. So like now I'm gonna be that. And it almost broke me. It almost broke me. I've always been so strong, at least I thought I was, but it's a difference when you're choosing to be strong and when you have to be strong. That's two different things. And I remember specifically when my mom passed, it was like clockwork. My grief went into taking on more responsibility. And I never wanted anybody to see me break because I was told for so long, you don't break. You keep working and working and working and working, and you need to be strong, which I hate when people say that. I know they mean well, but, you know, it was tough because I was like, I'm trying to be this, but I don't really know how. And I just remember college, my mom passed after my first year in college. And I just remember navigating and being like, okay, well, I had a plan. And if I gave up all this time to be with my mom in her last days, then I'm gonna go with this plan. And plan this plan. I literally planned out 24 hours in my day. I had a color chart. When I was gonna sleep, when I was gonna take a nap, who I was gonna hang out with, because that was expected. I could expect that. And I didn't feel so unraveled. I've been feeling, I felt so put together for majority of the time that feeling unraveled made me feel naked, and I didn't like that. And yeah, man, I made it to Little Rock after hell. And being in Little Rock, I didn't realize how much I was gonna grow up. And so Mona Lisa made me finally think and feel like I wasn't broken, that I was just being remolded. And I think that's why whenever that song comes on, I think about that time, but I also think about how I'm still being remolded. I'm a completely different person than I was then even, you know? So, hey there, make sure that you check out all of the behind the scenes and all the cool things surrounding my episode on IWPTV.com.